"What do you mean they've escaped?" screams Heinrich Schumann at the Nazi soldier standing in the doorway of his office. Moments earlier, a Polish rebel named Stefan Nowak disguised himself as a Nazi officer, took out an execution squad single-handedly, and escaped with a group of prisoners. Intel coming in from around the Nazi Empire suggests that Stefan had spent months searching for his wife and daughter. He had tracked them across Europe to a Nazi work camp in France. Now he's on the run with his family and several other fugitives. "This is an embarrassment. The Fuhrer will want answers," Schumann says to himself. "Ready my vehicle. I'm going after this rebel myself. He will not make it out of Europe alive." The soldier salutes General Schumann and marches out of the office to make the necessary preparations. Schumann remains seated in his chair, staring at the empty doorway. Adolf Hitler made it clear he would not tolerate any failures in his new Nazi empire. The Third Reich now spans all of Europe. There are Nazi eyes and ears everywhere. All Schumann has to do is send out a single mass communication and he'll have a bite within hours. Heinrich Schumann rises from the desk and grabs his swastika-emblazoned jacket off the rack. He slams his office door behind him and heads out of the building to the SS death squad waiting for him. "Grab your gear," he shouts. "We're going hunting for rebel scum." Stefan nervously glances at the fuel gauge on the Jeep. The accelerator has been pushed to the floor since the rescue of his wife, daughter, and several other prisoners from the Nazi work camp on the west coast of France. Stefan dropped off all but one of the escapees a few miles back, where they planned to seek shelter in the ruins of a medieval castle. The castle would have been a good place to hide, but Stefan believes their best chance of escaping the Nazis is by putting as much distance between them and the work camp as possible. He's been driving on a dirt road through a dense forest with no real direction for hours. Stefan pulls the Jeep to the side and kills the engine. There's only about a quarter of a tank left before they'll have to get out and walk. He takes a deep breath and looks at his wife sitting next to him in the Jeep's front seat. She holds their younger daughter in her lap. "I can't thank you enough for saving my life," the man named Jacques in the back of the Jeep says with a thick French accent. He places his hand on Stefan's shoulder. "We aren't too far from the small town where I grew up. My mother still lives there and can help us. Just keep following this road a little further." Stefan nods his head, holds his wife's hand for a moment, and starts the Jeep up again. He speeds down the road as trees whiz past. The fuel gauge continues to fall, but just when Stefan thinks the engine will sputter to a stop, they come out of the tree line. In front of them is a small village sitting at the base of a series of rolling hills. The sun is shining, the birds are chirping. In any other circumstance, it would be beautiful. Stefan drives down the road to the village where they hope to find refuge. A Nazi soldier leans against his gray Kubelwagen smoking a cigarette. He watches a Jeep full of people dressed in work camp uniforms speed toward a town at the bottom of the hill. The soldier takes a long drag on the cigarette and tosses it aside. Not too long ago, he and everyone else in the area had received orders to be on the lookout for a Jeep full of escaped prisoners. The Nazi soldier smiles as he saunters around to the side of his Kubelwagen and slides into the driver's seat. Must be his lucky day. Surely he'll receive a promotion for locating the prisoners and the rebel who escaped General Schumann's work camp. He grabs the radio and informs the general of what he's found. Jacques helps Stefan navigate the narrow streets of the French town. They park the Jeep a few blocks away to avoid drawing attention to Jacques' childhood home. The entourage enters the quaint house. Jacques calls to his mother. An old woman in blue and a white dress appears in the doorway. She has kind eyes and deep wrinkles in her face. "Jacques," she whispers, "is that you?" "It's me, Mama, I'm home." A tear falls down her cheek. Jacques walks up to her and embraces his mother. After a long hug, Jacques explains what happened over the last 24 hours. She listens intently. "Thank you for saving my son's life," she says to Stefan. "Come, let's get you all changed and fed." The old woman turns toward the kitchen to cook them all a warm meal. Stefan puts on work clothes that once belonged to Jacques' father. Even at his age, he took up arms to fight against the Nazi plague spreading across Europe at the beginning of World War II. Like so many other Allied soldiers during the war, he was killed while fighting to defend his country. Magdalena puts on one of Jacques' mother's old dresses. Even though it's a little too big, Stefan tells his wife the truth. She looks beautiful. Until today, they hadn't seen each other for almost a year as Stefan fought with the resistance in Poland. Anna put on pants and a shirt that belonged to Jacques when he was a young boy. The little girl looks at herself in the mirror and wrinkles her nose. She isn't ecstatic about wearing boys' clothes, but it's better than the dirty work outfit she was forced to wear every day at the Nazi camp. The family spends a moment together, relishing each other's company. If Stefan had reached the work camp only seconds later, Magdalena would have been executed, and there would have been no happy ending. The group of escapees reconvenes in the kitchen, where they eat and discuss the future of Europe. The Nazi Empire has become a dangerous place to live. Anyone who tries to speak out against Hitler is immediately detained and killed. More and more concentration camps have popped up through the continent. The resistance fighters do what they can to disrupt the Nazi war machine before it spreads further across the world, but at this point it seems like there's no stopping it. There's word that a British and American contingent is still holding their ground in Egypt. However, these might just be rumors. It seems as if there's no stopping the Nazis. Whatever they want, they take. The vast amount of land they now control has provided them with almost unlimited amounts of slave labor. Resources are starting to run low, but that's why Hitler's planning to invade northern Africa and the resource-rich lands of the Soviet Union. There are still a few countries like Switzerland and Spain that claim they're still independent. However, everyone knows the leaders of those nations are just puppets for Hitler. Nazis are welcomed within their borders and treated like upper-class citizens. These countries pay tribute to Hitler by heavily taxing their own people, all to maintain the illusion that they aren't a part of the Nazi empire. However, they still have work camps within their borders and continuously manufacture Nazi tanks and aircraft for Adolf Hitler. Stefan and his family won't be safe in Europe. That's why they need to escape. I know of a rebel cell in Lisbon, Stefan says. If we can get there, I can secure a safe passage off the continent. Everyone's silent. Jacques shakes his head. He's decided to stay in France and fight. There are still pockets of resistance fighters in the country that he can join. The Nazis have taken his father and his country from him. He wants to make them pay. I understand, Stefan says. Thank you for opening up your home to us. We know how dangerous it is. Jacques' mother smiles. She's just happy to have her son back. They continue to eat and discuss the future of Europe. Hitler has entrenched Nazi troops throughout the continent, and when given a choice between being thrown in a work camp or joining the ranks of Nazi soldiers, many people choose to wear the swastika and do as the Führer commands. Everyone finishes eating and relaxes for what seems like the first time in ages. They're about to move to the living room when Jacques sees a shadow pass by the window. Merda, he whispers. Stefan, you and your family need to head out the back right now. The Nazis have found us. Stefan looks at Jacques. His eyes are wide and alert. He grabs Anna and heads toward the back door with his wife. Come with us, he says. Jacques shakes his head. My mother will never make it, and I won't leave her. Go, I'll buy you time. Stefan and his family run out the back door. Nazi soldiers are at the entrance of the house. There's pounding on the door. Jacques opens it. Immediately, 3 Nazi soldiers burst into the house. They're followed by Heinrich Schumann. He's dressed in Nazi regalia and holds a wooden baton in his hand. The soldiers grab Jacques and throw him to a chair. His mother yells at them to stop, as one of the Nazis pushes her to the ground. Leave her alone, you bastards, Jacques yells. He struggles to get out of the chair and help his mother, but as he lunges at the Nazi who pushed her, Schumann slams his baton into the back of his head, sending Jacques crashing to the ground. Pick him up, Schumann says. Jacques is placed back in the chair. Heinrich Schumann walks up to him and takes off one of his rubber gloves. I've tracked down everyone who's escaped from my camp with you and your friends. They're all either dead or back in my custody. It's your choice whether you and your dear old mother live or die. Schumann raises his hand in the air and slaps Jacques across the face with his glove. Tell me where the rebel who broke you out of the work camp is. Jacques looks directly at Heinrich Schumann. He opens his mouth as if to say something and then spits in the Nazi's face. Very well, Schumann says, using his glove to wipe his eyes. Kill them both. We'll find the rebel and the remaining prisoners ourselves. Stefan and his family dash through the alleyways of the French village. They can hear the shouts of the Nazi soldiers as they go from house to house searching for them. On the outskirts of the town, Stefan spots a car. It's idling, without anyone in the driver's seat. He hates to steal from someone in the village, but this is a matter of life and death. Get in the car, Stefan shouts to his wife and daughter. Stefan darts around to the driver's side door. He hears the crack of 2 gunshots. His heart sinks. Godspeed, Jacques, Stefan whispers. He enters in the car and drives away. Stefan and his family continue through the hills of France. They're headed toward the border of Spain. As they pass through the vineyards of France, Stefan looks out at the countryside. The grapes are not being harvested this year. The Nazis converted many vineyards into explosive manufacturing facilities. The equipment was perfect for distilling and mixing the chemicals needed to create bombs. Suddenly, a plane flies directly over the car. As it pulls up, Stefan can see the black and white cross, indicating it's a Nazi aircraft from the Luftwaffe. The plane is a Messerschmitt Bf 109 fighter, and it's clear that the flyby was done to get a better look at the car. They found us, Stefan shouts. He waits for the plane to do another pass, then veers off the road. He drives through a field of grapes, crushing them beneath the car's tires. Stefan brings the vehicle to a stop. Come on, we need to hide, he says. He grabs his wife's hand and scoops up Anna. They dash across the field. They're only 20 feet away when they hear a thunderous sound. Stefan gasps. Run faster, he yells. A moment later, the car explodes as a tank shell strikes it. The family's thrown forward by the explosion. Stefan helps his wife to her feet and grabs his daughter. They continue to sprint toward the chateau at the edge of the field. A Panzer tank roars down the hillside, followed by dozens of Nazi soldiers. Heinrich Schumann stands with half his body sticking out of the tank's hatch. He points at his prey as they flee across the field and shouts for his troops to pursue them. Stefan and his family enter one of the warehouses where wine used to be made. There's row upon row of gigantic barrels. Stefan looks around for a place to hide. He has an idea. He runs up to each barrel and knocks it on the side. Eventually, he comes across one that has a hollow sound when he knocks on it. "Come over here," he shouts to his wife and daughter. Stefan grabs the wooden mallet hanging from a peg on the side of the barrel and hits the middle plank of the wood on the front. It swings inward. This is the way that winemakers get into barrels to scrape the built-up residue off the insides of the wood before refilling them with a new batch of wine. Stefan helps his wife into the barrel. She just manages to slip through the tiny hole. He then helps Anna up and through the small hole. Magdalena grabs her daughter and pulls her in. Stefan can hear the shouts of the Nazi soldiers as they approach the warehouse. He dives into the small hole, but his waist gets stuck. Magdalena struggles to pull him in. The Nazis are getting closer. Stefan twists his hips and sucks in his stomach. His wife pulls up his arms as hard as she can one last time, and he slides into the empty barrel. Stefan turns around and pushes the wooden plank he knocked inward back into position, making sure to leave a crack just big enough for his finger to fit through so he can remove it from the inside later. The Nazi soldiers burst into the warehouse. Stefan can hear them yelling as they tear the place apart, looking for him and his family. It seems like an eternity, but eventually he hears one of the soldiers announce that there's no one in the building and they're to continue their search elsewhere. Stefan breathes a sigh of relief. His head is throbbing from the leftover alcohol fumes in the barrel. He knows that if he and his family stay sealed inside much longer, those fumes could kill them. Stefan moves the plank of wood to the side and they slide out of the giant barrel. The family gulps in the fresh air, then ducks behind the barrel to stay out of sight. That night, when Stefan is sure that the Nazis have moved on, he leads his family out of the chateau. They head toward the border of Spain, which is only a few miles away. The family makes sure to stay off the main roads, and when they reach the border, they avoid the entry checkpoint by crossing through a thick forest where no one will spot them. The night is cool, but manageable. The family huddles together for warmth and waits for the sun to rise the following morning before proceeding toward Madrid. Stefan knows of a group of rebels operating out of the city from his time in the resistance. Since Spain is technically still independent, its government is easier to infiltrate than the Nazi dictatorship housed in Berlin. It takes several days to get to Madrid, but Stefan knows exactly where to go once there. The agents for the resistance exchange information at Las Ventas, the major bull ring inside of the city. Stefan tells Magdalena to take Anna around the square while he goes inside and locates one of the rebel agents. The roar of the crowd can be heard from within the colossal structure. Stefan enters the arena and heads to one of the top walkways. He looks around for any sign of a rebel presence. Then Stefan spots a man reading a newspaper. On his cufflink is a kotwika, the symbol of the Polish resistance. Stefan approaches the man, who looks up from his newspaper. He rolls up his sleeve to show the rebel agent the kotwika tattooed on his forearm. The man nods and stands up. They walk around the stadium as the crowd roars with applause. The rebel agent listens to Stefan's story and tells him he can help. He'll arrange train tickets, forged papers, and money for Stefan and his family to travel with. Stefan thanks the man for his help and heads toward the exit of the stadium. As he looks into the bull ring, he's filled with horror. There are bulls in the ring, but there are no matadors. Instead, the Nazis have placed prisoners and dissidents in the ring with the raging bulls. The crowd watches as the men and women are charged at and maimed. The people in the bull ring stand no chance. They run for their lives, but if they try to climb out, Nazi soldiers push them back into the kill zone. Throughout Europe, the Nazi Empire has perverted the culture and pastimes of other nations and peoples. It fills Stefan with disgust, but he pushes that thought to the side. The only thing that matters now is getting to Lisbon so they can leave this nightmare behind. On his way out of the stadium, Stefan can't help but notice a series of wanted posters stuck to the side of the building. He walks up and he gasps. The posters have crudely drawn pictures of his face and the faces of Magdalena and Anna. Stefan doesn't know why the Nazis want to capture them so badly, but he can't help but feel that it has something to do with the general who always seems to be leading the troops whenever the Nazis catch up with him and his family. Stefan joins his wife and daughter at a nearby market. They buy new clothes and food. Then they rent a room at a rundown hotel and clean up before heading to the train station. It's here that they'll meet the rebel agent who will give them their forged documents and tickets. Everything goes according to plan. The Spanish officers checking the tickets for the train to Lisbon show very little interest in their job. Stefan and his family board the train, travel across Spain into Portugal, and disembark at the Lisbon station. The city has been transformed into a Nazi shrine. Swastikas have been chiseled into buildings. Nazi flags hang from every pole. The people of Portugal were given an ultimatum: either conform to the Nazi way of life or die. Lisbon and Portugal as a whole are important to Adolf Hitler because they provide a staging ground for his Navy and Air Force to launch an eventual raid on the Americas. The Azore Islands, which were controlled by Portugal, are now controlled by the Nazis and sit in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. They provide an excellent location for Hitler to launch bombing runs on the United States using his America bombers. Stefan and his family make their way to Igreja de São Domingos, where they'll meet another rebel agent who will provide them with tickets for a ship heading to the Azores. They enter the church just after sunset. Inside are the charred remains from a fire that burned it long ago. The current church was built around the ruins to preserve them in remembrance of that terrible day. When Stefan and his family enter the church, Mass is happening. The priest's voice echoes off the vaulted ceilings. The church is illuminated by candlelight, which casts long shadows across the burnt remains of the cathedral. It's eerily beautiful. Stefan spots a man sitting in the back pew and sits next to him. They exchange words. The man hands Stefan tickets to the ship leaving the following morning. Stefan thanks him and moves across the church to the pew where his wife and daughter are sitting. They stay until the end of Mass, entranced by the sounds and sights of the church. When Mass finishes, they find a place to sleep, lying low for the rest of the day so they don't risk getting recognized. It's a long night, but the sun finally rises. Stefan and his family board the ocean liner. Once again, they don't run into any problems. The man who looks at their tickets is clearly a Nazi from the heart of the empire, but it seems as if word about the wanted fugitives hasn't reached this far across Europe. Stefan and his family stand on the ship's top deck as it pulls away from the dock. The vessel begins picking up speed, leaving Europe behind. Suddenly, the engines die. Stefan looks around. There's fear in his wife's eyes. The ship comes to a full stop. Stefan looks over the side of the railing to see the water below begin to bubble. From the depths rises a Nazi U-boat. Stefan watches in horror as the metal behemoth comes to rest on the surface. The hatch of the submarine opens. A man dressed in a long black trench coat steps onto the deck. Stefan and the Nazi lock eyes. It's Heinrich Schumann. The Nazi smiles, showing all of his teeth, like a crocodile right before it attacks. Stefan turns to his wife and daughter to tell them to hide, but they're already in the clutches of Nazi soldiers who had followed them on board. Schumann had been waiting for this moment to spring his trap, and Stefan fell right into it. The Nazi soldiers point their MP-40 submachine guns at him. They're escorted into the belly of the ship as it turns back toward port. The ship docks. Stefan, his wife, and his daughter are brought ashore. Standing at the edge of the dock waiting for them is Heinrich Schumann. He still has the reptilian smile on his face. "Stefan Novak, it's a pleasure to finally meet you." Schumann says, "I've learned a lot about you from torturing your so-called rebel allies. They tried to hide their secrets, but I have a very persuasive method of making them talk." Heinrich Schumann walks up to Stefan and stands directly in front of him. The Nazi pats him on the cheek and then steps to the side. "And you must be Magdalena and Anna. I didn't know I had two such important people at my work camp. If only I was aware, I would have used you as bait much earlier." "Leave them alone," Stefan yells. "They don't know anything." Heinrich Schumann laughs. He's finally captured the man who's caused him so much trouble and put his position of power in jeopardy. The best part about the whole thing is that he has a meeting with the Führer tomorrow, and bringing a rebel agent with him to torture for information should make Hitler a very happy man. Schumann knows that Stefan Novak has been across the Nazi Empire to find his wife and daughter. He knows he's had help, and he knows just how to get him to talk. "This is going to hurt you a lot more than it's going to hurt me," Schumann whispers in Stefan's ear, "but I need you to know just how serious I am." Heinrich Schumann takes a step away from Stefan. He reaches into his trench coat and pulls out his Luger pistol. The Nazi general cocks the hammer back and points it directly at Stefan. "I know you won't talk unless there's some sort of incentive, so let's make sure you understand how far I'm willing to go to get information for the Führer." Heinrich Schumann moves his arm slightly and shifts the aim of his gun. Without breaking eye contact, the Nazi pulls the trigger. The gun fires. Stefan expected to feel pain, but feels nothing. He looks down at his chest, but there's no hole. Then he hears his wife's voice. "Stefan," she stammers. Stefan turns to look at Magdalena. Blood spreads across her shirt from the bullet wound in her stomach. "No!" Stefan screams. "Mommy!" Anna yells. Magdalena falls to her knees. Stefan rips himself from the grip of the Nazi soldiers holding him and rushes over to his wife. He catches her just before she falls to the ground. Stefan cradles her in his arms. "I'm so sorry. Please don't leave me." He sobs as he holds his wife tight. Her blood covers his shirt. Her breathing becomes labored. "Stefan," she whispers, "listen to me. You need to get our daughter out of the Nazi Empire. She needs to grow up far away from all this hate and pain. Please save our Anna from this terrible place." Stefan promises that he will. "I love you, Stefan. Don't let them win." With that, Magdalena breathes her last breath. The Nazi soldiers pull Stefan away from his wife's body as he screams. He lashes out at them. "Let go of me," he shouts. Stefan punches one of the Nazi soldiers in the face, breaking his nose. He kicks another in the leg, shattering his kneecap. Stefan lunges for his wife's body, but as he does so, Heinrich Schumann brings his pistol down hard on the back of Stefan's neck, knocking him out. "Pick him up," he orders the soldiers. "Tie them up and put them both on my plane. We leave for Romania to meet with the Führer within the hour." Schumann marches away as the Nazi soldiers pull Stefan's unconscious body off the ground. They drag Anna along as she screams for her mother. Magdalena's body lies in the middle of the cobbled streets in Lisbon. When the Nazis are all gone, a man steps out of the crowd that is gathered. He bends down and picks up Magdalena's body. The necklace he wears has a Kodvika charm hanging from it. The man carries Magdalena to Igreja de São Domingos, where he brings her inside the church so she can be prepped for a proper burial. Stefan Novak awakes to the droning of plane engines. His head is throbbing. As the fog begins to clear, he panics. He looks around for Anna. She's sitting on a bench across from him with her hands tied. Her eyes are bloodshot from crying. Then he remembers. His wife is dead. He couldn't save her, but he made a promise to get his daughter out of the hell that is the Nazi Empire. Adolf Hitler controls all of Western Europe and is now focusing on bringing the Soviet Union to its knees. This is why the Führer is currently in Romania. He's meeting with his generals to plan the next phase of attacks on the Soviet Union and to be briefed on a rising threat in the Middle East. Even though the Nazis control all of Europe, including Britain, a large number of British and American soldiers continue to hold their ground in Egypt. In order to complete his conquest of this part of the world, Hitler needs to deal with this force along with the Russians. "Anna, are you okay?" Stefan asks. His daughter nods her head. "I'll find a way to get us out of here. I promise. You have to be strong for me, okay?" She nods her head again. Stefan looks around the cargo hold of the plane for anything that might be able to cut his ropes. He spots a screw sticking out of the fuselage a few feet away. Stefan moves down the bench and sits in front of the protruding screw. He scrapes the ropes, binding his hands behind his body against the jagged metal. The ropes begin to fray. After a few minutes, he cuts through the ropes. His hands are now free. Stefan rushes to Anna and gives her a long hug. "So sorry I got you into all this," he whispers to her. Stefan unties his daughter. "All right," he said, "let's get out of." Before Stefan can finish his sentence, there's an explosion. Stefan looks out the window and sees half of the wing has been ripped off the plane. What remains is just a fiery piece of metal. The plane begins to nosedive. Stefan Novak wraps his arms around his daughter and holds onto her with everything he has. He glances out the window and sees the aqua waters of the Adriatic Sea. The plane descends toward the hills of Yugoslavia. Stefan holds on ever tighter to Anna. He closes his eyes as the ground fast approaches. The plane crashes into the earth. Stefan is thrown across the cargo hold with Anna still in his arms. He slams into the far wall and falls to the ground. The aircraft skids across a field at 100 miles an hour. The fuselage is torn in half. Stefan and Anna are hurtled toward the tail end of the plane. The section that they're in slowly comes to a stop. The front half of the aircraft slams into a nearby forest and disappears into the trees. When Stefan comes to, his ears are ringing. He still clutches Anna in his arms. She has a scrape on her forehead, but other than that, seems okay. Stefan tries to move, but his body is in immense pain. He's broken several ribs and dislocated his shoulder from being thrown around the cargo hold during the crash. The sound of voices can be heard approaching the wreckage, but these voices aren't speaking German. Instead, Stefan recognizes the words as being spoken in English. He squints through the smoke accumulating in the plane. A group of men enter and look around. "There he is," says one of the men, pointing to Stefan. Two men step up over the debris and approach the battered resistance fighter and his daughter. He has no strength to fight them off, so he just clings to Anna. The men pick him up and help him out of the wreckage. Once they're outside, they lay Stefan and Anna down on the soft grass. "Sorry about the mess, mate," one of them says. He's wearing forest green pants and a jacket. On the arm of the jacket is a British flag. "We received word from the resistance that you were aboard that plane, and we couldn't let it reach Hitler. We didn't know how to bring it down, but we were told you're one tough SOB, so you'd survive even if we shot the bird out of the sky." Turns out they were right. Stefan is in too much pain to respond. He just nods his head. "Name's Jack. Me and my squad are with the British and American Joint Forces operating in the area. We're here to get you out of the Nazi Empire." Stefan smiles and kisses Anna on the forehead. It seems like he'll be able to keep his promise to Magdalena after all. Two men lift Stefan onto a stretcher. Anna remains in his embrace. The British and American soldiers carry them toward a road where a truck waits to bring them to their secret base. As the truck drives away, a scream of rage comes from inside the front half of the plane wreckage. There's a banging on the cockpit door. The door flies off its hinges and lands on the ground. A bloody Nazi general falls out from the smoldering plane. He has a gash running from his cheek to the top of his head, from where a shard of glass scraped across his face. The Nazi drags his body through the wreckage to the edge of the tree line. He watches as Stefan Novak is loaded onto a truck by enemy soldiers. Heinrich Schumann howls in rage as the man he chased across the Nazi Empire gets away. In that moment, he vows no matter where Stefan Novak goes, he'll find him and put a bullet in his head. Now watch Europe if Hitler had won, or check out Nazi invasion plans for America.